Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 61. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, and I'm going to apologize in advance. My allergies just kicked in. I don't know where they came from, but they are kicking my butt. So if you hear me sniffle or I sound congested or I sneeze, I apologize in advance. All right. So we start the episode off where we ended with Vanessa, Joey, Carlton, and Nicole. They're still at Uptown, and Vanessa's trying to ease the tension between them. They still are making digs at each other. Carlton tells him like, you act like you aren't quick to throw shade. You mock me, but I can't mention what you do and the side hustle that you can't put on your taxes. And Joey says, "Oh, you want to talk about rumors?" And he says, "Let's talk about the rumor about you hopping into your business partner slash best friend's um wife's bed. Not even you didn't even let the ink dry or whatever. um oh, before the ink dried on the divorce." And Nicole says, "How dare you?" And then he goes in on Nicole and tells her about Vernon, built his empire by greasing hands and making deals. And then she sits there and looks down on him, and she's just another Dupree baptized in the same self-righteous water. Now, first of all, Vernon ain't do none of that because that empire was built for him, not by him, but for him, because his daddy built that. He's just continued to contribute to it, but whatever. So Nicole's asked, "Are you finished?" And Vanessa says he is, and Nicole says, she appreciates his candor, and Vanessa is shocked. And Nicole says it's so much easier when people show you who they are up front. And then she tells Vanessa she won't do this, and she gets up and leaves, and then Carlton follows behind her or whatever. So we see, and I'm sorry. We see y'all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like I said, my allergies just kicked in and just whooped my butt. So we see what's this girl's name? We see Nicole and Carlton. They're back at her house. She's pissed. She got drinks. Um uh she's just pouring drinks, and she apologized to him for the date. And then she starts to go in on how, child, people just so disrespectful. It's like 9 o'clock it's past 9 o'clock at night, and you revving your car down a residential area that's by a school. So kids are in this neighborhood trying to sleep to go to school the next day, and you over here revving your engine like that. Whew. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that tangent. I'm sorry, y'all. Ooh, I'm gonna just keep going. So Nicole, she at home, she apologizes to Carlton. She's making a drink for herself, or she's pouring wine. She's complaining about how Vanessa just sat there and didn't defend them. He's saying he's not that upset. He's more um he isn't that upset, and Nicole doesn't understand why, and he's just like, he's more worried about something that Joey said, and he was just like, he was asking, oh, does Joey have something on your family? So she plays it off, and she's just like, I've heard that, I've heard that saying about politicians' families my whole life, and all this other stuff. So she's saying, she's scared for Vanessa, and she wants to stage an intervention. Carlton tells her, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Nicole says she can't pretend anymore and she needs to say something, or what kind of friend would she be? Nicole is still complaining about Vanessa and Joey. Carlton tells her Vanessa isn't her patient and she can't treat her like one. She gets mad and he tries to explain it to her, but she's too pissed off at this point. He says, you're getting worked up about Vanessa. I feel like you're getting a little bit too worked up about Vanessa because you're projecting. And she's just like, explain. And he says, y'all have both been through the ringer. Like, you just divorced a man that you've been with for decades because he lied. He got a whole grown ass daughter, and now your mom has the big C, and you've just been going through a lot. The same with Vanessa. She lost her husband of decades, and y'all have gone through the ringer. And y'all have both started acting out of character. And she was just like, what you mean, like, what you talking about? So he tells her, you've been acting different, you started change, you started dressing differently, you're doing this, you're doing that. And she's like, takes it the wrong way, and she's just like, oh, so you're trying to say you don't like me because I'm new, you don't want the perfect Miss Patty and all this other stuff. And he's just like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying. And she's just like, you know what? Let's call it a night. Like, I'm done. And he was just like, look, I hope when you wake up in the morning, you will see that I wasn't saying it the clumsy way that it came out. Just know that I love every part of you, because he low key wanted to say I love you, but he was, he played it off or whatever. So he leaves. She's talking to herself like, he he thinks I'm this and he thinks I'm that, and I am not about to get worked up over a man who thinks that all this other stuff. And then she looks at the key that Kyle gave her. So I feel like she finished her drink and she leaves, and then we see her next in Kyle's bed, and he's just like, "Oh, I thought you put that key in your dresser drawer, and you were never gonna pull it out, but I'm glad you did." And then they start kissing and doing the do, of course. So we see Dani. She done ran over to Bill because Bill had called her over, and he just wanted to update her on his will and let her know that she's in it. He tells her that he's willing her the painting that he had commissioned of the girls, the one that she tried to get when they got a divorce, but he fought against it, and now he's gonna will it to her. And I'm just like, just give it to her now. Why you gotta will it to her? Like, like these people are really tripping. It's a Monday night. But why are you like, I don't get it. Like, why can't you just give it to her now? Why do you have to will it to her? If you want her to have it, give it to her. There's no need for her to be in your will. Y'all are divorced. Y'all don't need to have any dealings with each other unless it has to do with your kids. So why would you want to put her in your will? Like, it's like you want to have her, like, you want to make sure that you have a connection to her. That's why you're going to will her something that you could easily give to her now. So you're going to give it to her when y'all are old and gray, and like, just give it to her now. Like, I don't get it. But yeah, so he's talking about he going to will her the painting, I guess. He also talks about he's going to will his company to Naomi. And she talks about how Naomi's going to change it into a like a, what is it called, like a what them people called? I can't think. um a public defender's office or something like that, something to that effect or whatever. That's what she says. And then she says, maybe I will. She says, well, since you're willing your company to Naomi, then maybe I will the modeling agency or my portion of it to Chelsea. And he was just like, oh, no need. I already gave, like, I put aside a sizable amount of money that she can use for capital to do whatever she wants, and she's gonna be set for life basically, or whatever. So he they agree to be friends, and that's their scenes. We see Vanessa and Joey, and they're now back at the casino, and she sees Kyle, and she says she wishes he was the one that was there for the double date. And he's just like, come again? And she was just like, it would have been better company or something like that. And he was just like, well, I hope the rest of your day is better. So he leaves, and she tells Joey, go ahead, say I told you so. He makes a joke, and she's just like, you're treating this relationship like everyone else, and she's tired of people shaming her for dating him. So he apologizes, and she says he could have kept his opinions to himself, which he honestly could have, because you literally had a conversation with Nicole just maybe a couple days ago, like in their, in the show time frame. Like, you had a conversation with them a couple of days ago, and y'all were cordial with each other. Y'all didn't have no issues with each other, and she was okay with you dating Vanessa, because she was just like, I see you make her happy. So the fact that you came in guns blazing, like, you came in on 100 for this double date, just makes it look like you wanted to sabotage this. And I don't see how Vanessa doesn't see that, but I digress. So he apologizes. She says she could have kept it to himself. Joey says he's not built for this, and he isn't looking for anyone's approval. Vanessa says she is, and her friends matter, and she isn't going to let what they have. She isn't going to let what they have mess up her relationship with her children, but she already is. I don't know why she's saying she's not going to let it when she's already let it, but okay. Um Joey says he can't control how people see him, and he stopped trying. Vanessa just says, I wish you would make yourself more approachable, show that there's more to you than the rumors. Like, build up the fact that you have the free clinic, and that you helped Isaiah, and all this other stuff. And it's just like, this man's already told you he stopped trying. Why are you continuing to try? And then you keep saying the rumors as if it's not true what they're saying about this man. Because, okay, girl, Vanessa just be irking my nerves. So he says he will do anything for her, but he isn't going to change who he is. She wishes Deanna could see this part of him, to see the part of him that she sees, the one who holds her at night when she can't sleep, the one who does this and that, the one who's X, Y, and Z, and all this other stuff. He says, he says he could take a step back and he'll understand, and some people will only see him as a villain, and there's nothing that he can do about it. And you are the villain. I'm sorry to tell you this, Joey, but you are the villain. Like, everything that you do is to benefit you. Nicole wasn't lying when she said that. You even getting Joey to go into debt with you the way that you did that was just so that you could use him to get to his wife, so that you could use her company to launder your money through her real estate agency. And then you just so happen to fall in love with her. That's how y'all met. So, Vanessa, this fairy tale meeting that you're trying to throw at everybody. Nah. The reason that y'all got together is because he was using your husband's addiction to get to you so that he could use you and your company to make his money legit. That is legit how y'all came together. And then he even took it a step further and he approached you on looking for a house for his mother who had passed away a year ago. So he came to you under false pretenses, and then he came to your husband on some, I'm gonna use you to get what I want. So he is the villain. Like, why you aren't seeing that he is a villain? And Joey, why are you acting like you aren't the villain? Like, you took Isaiah under your wings because you wanted him to do some stuff for you. And I low-key feel like you did that just so that you could tell Elon, be like, hey, I got your son doing X, Y, and Z. And the only way that I'll make sure he don't get caught up is if I get you in my pocket. That's low-key why I feel like you took Isaiah in. But then you seen that him and Isaiah didn't have a good relationship, so you really couldn't do that. Although you probably still could because Elon wasn't about to let his son go down for nothing because he was already bailing his son out of ish that his son don't even know about. Which again is like, sir, why are you acting like you're not even gonna go on him? But yeah, so whatever. So she says he was there for her when Doug died, and she hopes that Deanna finds a man like him so that she'll know why she can't leave him. And it's just like, yeah, you were with him when your husband passed away, but he was the reason why your husband passed away. And he took you on this vacation just so that he could have an alibi. Like, Vanessa, you are looking real bad out here in these streets because, girl, you was doing all of this for this man that is already got you caught up in criminal activities, and then took your husband out this world just so he could have you. Girl, I digress. So she says she's done pretending and um hiding, and she isn't ashamed. So she chooses Joey because again, she already done chose Joey. So they kiss. They kiss, and Randy comes in and he interrupts them. And so Randy wants to talk to him about some business, and Randy and Joey is pissed because he was just like, "Sir, you could have sent that in an email." That's what I've been. There's a couple of episodes that I said about it that I've said they could have sent this as an email. So it's funny. That's what he said. But anyways, so he says, you could have sent me an email. And Brandon's just like, I'm just trying to, step up, and I'm trying to be proactive. And he's just like, oh, okay, so you want to be proactive? Here, have a seat. Bill told me to look into Lynette. So tell me what you know about her. And he was just like, oh, I don't know no Lynette. And he was just like, oh, that's funny. You don't know Lynette, but you sure know her enough to be sucking her fingers in Orphe jeans. And he was just like, dang, you got eyes everywhere. So what else did June tell you? And he was just like, enough. I think they said some other stuff, but I couldn't remember. So then we see Kat. She runs into Tomas at the club, and he's shocked, which I don't know why he's shocked, but whatever. So she asked him, how was Bmore? Well, she said Baltimore, but And he tells her, I didn't go. And she says, yeah, I know. Chelsea already downloaded me or whatever. She says she saw you. And he tells her it was a cover. He had a job interview. And And I put in my notes, like as soon as he said that, I put in my notes. So you wanted her to tell you where she decided to live, but you couldn't tell her that you was looking for a job. Okay, Tomas. But then she says, she says, she tells him I knew things were tense with Bill, but not at the job, like at the job hopping, stage where we needed to update our LinkedIn or whatever. And he tells her, just keeping my options open, it's smart business. And she says, yeah, but lying to your girlfriend isn't. Care to explain? So he tells her he didn't want to tell her because he didn't want her to lie to Bill. And it's just like, when do you see her ever going to Bill about anything? Whatever. So she tells him, um, well, while you were busy lying to me, she didn't really say that, but that's what I said. But while you were busy lying to me, I was reading Bill for Filth. And he tells her, man, you just made it worse. And she was just like, why are you mad? I thought, like, I was defending you. That's what people do. That's what people do for the people that they love. And he was just like, no, that's what people do for people that they don't trust can take up for themselves or stand on their own or something like that. um he tells her, she tells him, no, I was setting him straight. That's a big difference. And he says, to you it's a difference, but to others it'll make him look like he can't stand on his own and he can't handle his boss. And he tells her he doesn't need her standing up for him. She says that wasn't her intention. He says he knows, and then he tells her about the new firm and how, it's smaller and they're offering him a full-time partnership, but because it is a smaller firm, he has to buy in. He has to buy into it to get a percentage of the firm or whatever. But because he's been sending money home to Puerto Rico, his savings are tight. So they're gonna like he gonna be on a budget now, and they can't be doing like the things that they were doing before. Like they can't go on vacations and stuff like that. Um, and she was just like, she offers him money, and then he gets mad again. And he says, you call Hayley a gold digger, and then you want me to play that role in your family's eyes. And I was just like, okay, I get that. And he was just like, what happens if Bill finds out that I used your money to start to get a percentage get a percentage in the new law firm? And I was just like, he'd be happy because he did the exact same thing. Like, he used the Duprees for all the connects that he got. Dani bought him that building that he's in. So he would tell you good job while he over here acting like, oh, he trying to tell you to do better and all this other stuff. He's low-key telling you to do the exact same things that he did, but whatever. So she says it's not the same. Partners invest in each other, and she isn't trying to buy him. She's trying to support him. And he tells her, taking her money will change them. And that's the last thing that he wants. He has a vision for how he wants their future to go, and taking her money will cheapen that. So she gets it, and she's just like, okay, fine. And she tells him, you're my equal, and money doesn't change that. He says, good. So she tells him, the good thing about you leaving the firm is now that we can look into Lynette. And he's just like, girl, did you listen to anything I just said? What is going on? He was just like, the whole purpose of me leaving the firm is to get away from the Lynette thing. And she's just like, yeah, well, that's what you want to do, but my gut is telling me something ain't wrong, and my gut ain't never lied. And I was just like, she ain't lying. So she says, she explains all the things and all the reasons why Lynette is sketchy. And she says it's not about him now. She says if Lynette is pulling a scam, it'll blow back on Bill, and it can blow back on her family, and she don't play about her family. She said, I don't play about my people. So he says, okay, they can look into it or whatever. So with this whole situation, Girl, cat, you offered that man money. I was too through because I was just like, girl, why? My poor baby, I need her to leave him. And then it was just like, I'm glad he turned her down. If he would have accepted, he would have been looked like a gold digger. But I low key feel like he doesn't want to accept her money because he wants to put her in a position where she's going to be leaning on him, which that would never happen because of the type of woman that she is or seems to be. But at the same time, like, you aren't trusting your instincts when it comes to this man. So that's why I'm just like, maybe she would fall into that trap with him. But I don't know, because again, I really want them to go down that route. They need to make him be he needs to be abusive. Like, the way he talks to her, the way he acts about her, the way he treats her, the way he talks to her, the way he talks about her, it's all given abuse. Like, the way that you will sit there and let everybody and their mama call her out her name. Well, not everybody and their mama, but the one person that shouldn't have the gall to do that to her, and then in fact do that in front of your face, and you will let that happen, but she is quick to stick up for you, and you can't even stick up for her in her face or behind her back. Yeah, nah, that's I don't like it. But hopefully this is soon coming to an end, but we shall see. So we see Hayley, she's meeting with Randy at Uptown, and she's telling him about Joey and how Joey low key called her number, and she's just like, we need to get rid of Bill now. And he's just like, nah, we can't do that, because if we do, they're gonna look at you. And she was just like, nah, they not. And it's just like, girl, listen to that man, because yes, if anything were to happen to Bill at this moment, they are going to look at you, because ma'am, you not listening, and that's why you caught up right now. But I digress. So he tells her, he'll handle Joey, and it's just like, no, you won't, sir. So that's when he goes and he meets up with Joey or whatever. So then we see Lynette meeting Hayley at Uptown, and Hayley is just like, she wants to get a few more girls' night in before Lynette leaves. Um, before Lynette leaves for her next mark. And Lynette is just like, oh, so you trying to get rid of me? And she was just like, nah, I'm just calling it how I see it. Randy ain't got the funds for you. So I figured you was gonna be leaving soon. And Lynette was just like, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to top a bill. And she's just like, yeah, but she was just like, yeah, you right, but you can find you a Texas oil man. And Lynette was just like, yeah, nah, I'm not going to Texas. The DMV is where it's at. You just got to know where to look. So Hayley's trying to talk her into leaving, and Lynette tells her, man, cut the BS. Like, I know what's up. Quit playing with me. I know what's up. I know that you running your biggest con yet, and I'm not going nowhere. And Hayley was just like, why can't you believe me? Like, why can't you believe that I fell in love? And she was just like, girl, because this is what you do. You act like you fallen in love. You meet a person, you marry them, take them for their money, and you dip. So I know what you're doing. And she says something about the ring, and Hayley asks about that ring again, and Lynette just cuts her off and starts saying something else. And I was just like, girl, Hayley, you're not getting that ring, boo boo. You could just forget about that ring. Chop it. Cut your losses. You ain't getting that back. And it's just like, I don't understand why you keep asking for it back, because if you were to get it back, then it's going to be, they're going to start looking at you like, wait, how did you get your ring back if we found the guy, but when we found him, he didn't have it on him, and now he done disappeared. So how did you get your ring back? But Hayley ain't too smart. We all know that. Lynette tells her, if your marriage was so good, then we wouldn't have staged that mugging. And she was just like, I didn't ask you to hit me. And she was just like, girl, whatever. And she was just like, yeah, I was just trying to make sure he doesn't go back to his ex. And Lynette isn't buying it. She tells her she isn't leaving until she gets what's hers, and she won't snitch on her unless she refuses to cut her in. So Hayley's just like, you putting me in a bind. And she was just like, don't test me. She said, "Don't test me, or I will blow I will blow your plan sky high." And then she gets up and leaves. I was just like, that's exactly what you get, Hayley. That is exactly what you get. But then at the same time, I'm just like, what does she owe you, Lynette? And why does she owe you? I need to know more about that. Cause like, why do you feel the need? Why do you think that you are owed something in this new con that she's doing if you wasn't there from the jump? Like, I need to know that. But yeah, this was a cute little episode. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode, and I will see you in the next one.